All right. So before we begin, prepare your ears to listen and your heart to receive as you take in the words that look to challenge lives, renew hearts, and open minds. Welcome to the Door Expansion, where I am your host, More Anthony Hubbard, the founder and owner of Speak to My Heart Life Coaching. And as a life coach, my mission and passion is to help you become a better version of yourself by helping you achieve your goals and what you set for yourself. And so I'm going to let my co host introduce herself, Miss Stephanie Hollins Passmore.
Hey, it's just the two of us today, Mar Anthony.
Hey, we're
And
going to get it
we're
in.
excited. Yeah, I'm excited today. I feel a little relaxed this week. I can let my hair down with you and we can talk about our shared vision, what we got going on in our business practices, and how we kind of talk about self-care. I am a licensed mental health therapist, marriage and family therapist, and I have my business, The Narrative Shift. I practice here in Washington State. See a diverse population of people, and yeah, that's what I do.
Right on. So you already mentioned that this month we're gonna be discussing self care. So we'll have a couple of people come on and discuss what self care mean. And just to give you like a little background on what self care is, people, the World Health Organization, they actually define self care as the ability of individuals, families, and communities to promote health, prevent disease, maintain health, and to cope with illness and disability with or without the support of healthcare provider. But let me break it down for you. Simply put, it's maintaining a healthy relationship with yourself by taking care of your mind, body, and soul. So, with that being said, we'll start off with self care and what it looks like. I know a lot of people might be, I guess, uh, not in the know on what self care is and how our services can provide as a life coach and a counselor. So, as from the counselor perspective, how would one uh, how would self care be relevant to counseling?
I think people think of self care as, I'll go get a mani pedi. I will, go get my hair done or get a massage. But self care is more than that. It's really taking care of the whole person, just not just the physical. It's really being in tune to the internal, you know, checking in with ourselves both mentally and emotionally. Um, and self care is just maintenance, you know, for the mind, the body, soul, spirit. And in counseling, individuals, self care is like asking about their purpose, about being very intentional with their lives. So coming into therapy, they want those answers, um, those questions answered for themselves. So self care can be very eye opening, thought provoking. It can, new perspective can be self care.
Well, you talking about that mani and pedi? That's something I need for my self care at the moment right now. But hey, this ain't about me. This ain't about me. This is about everybody else.
Hmm. Yeah, they got to get out the big, the what is that, dremel reel?
Hey, I just said this is not about
Yeah,
me.
I know I need it too. I don't want to give you a little look at what these toes looking like right now.
Thank you, thank you. We may all be blessed from that. No, sometimes whenever we think of, like you mentioned, sometimes when we think of self care, that's the small things that we think about. But
Mhm.
sometimes if you start thinking about it, how many people go to work every day? And you mentioned the word passion, and I'm a big passionate person whenever it comes to living out your dream. And so whenever we think about self care, when people go to work every day and they look like they have that fatigue or that burnout, and that could look like you not socializing with people anymore, or maybe you just dread getting up. I was just teaching the class the other day, and I was asking the people in there, the transition service members in there, it's like, how often whenever you wake up in the morning, are you just ready, thrilled, and ready to go to work? And most of them are like, no. And it's not that they don't care for the mission; it's just that the passion is not burning in them anymore. So finding that job or finding that piece, or that part in your life, whenever you can say, "Dang, I love doing this. Whatever I feel like doing, I want to get up and I want to do this every day." That's what we're looking for. And with that self care, I think
Hmm.
that's what we need to get back to.
Oh yeah. I think you cut out there on me a little bit.
Oh, did you have any questions?
No, I was saying you cut out there a little bit on me, but I just wanted to add, like, our bodies keep score of everything that we're feeling, emotion, just the physical activity. You were saying like people don't have that um, that purpose or that intention or that passion to like motivate them. Self care tends to cater to that. Like I said, the body keeps the score. Um, People don't understand like self care is like really that faith and manifestation of good things to happen and occur. Because a lot of us are like really functioning off of our dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? Our dysfunction becomes very functional for us. And so we become very robotic in our day to day, just kind of going with the flow, going through the emotion, and not really being attuned to what's really going on internally.
So whenever we look at the counseling portion of it, how as a counselor can you get people to get in tune with themselves? And because we all know the stigma, the taboo of going to counseling. So how would you turn that away and say, people, come, it's okay.
Mhm. People, some individuals think that you have to be in a crisis before you come to therapy, you know, um, and just talking about self care, that's, counseling is like a preventative measure. We're asking people to be very proactive versus reactive. Um, highly encouraging individuals to come in, making people aware of, their mental health or behavioral issues. Some people aren't aware of how they come across, what the root issues are. Um, so, we can highly encourage individuals to come in just to kind of do an assessment, you know, of what could be going on in their lives.
Sometimes, like you said, whenever you don't know, when you don't know, how you gonna do better. So
Yeah.
uh,
When we know better, we do better. Yeah.
yes, very true.
So turning it back on you,
Oh,
as
here
a
we go.
life
Here we
coach,
go. Here we go.
as a life coach, how do you point out when a client is in need of your services? You know.
Well, for me, the broad question, the easiest question I can ask anybody that's in search for a life coach, or who might not even think that they're in search for a life coach, is, what can I do for you? How can I
Mhm.
help you gain a better perspective of yourself? How can I make you a better person of you? And at the end of the day, that's all a life coach is doing. I'm just trying to make you a better person. And, we said on the show last week, uh,
Yeah.
people be like, well, why would I need to pay somebody to help me? And the first thing I would say is, well, apparently you in a perfect position, you right where you need to be at. And if that's the case, you're right. You don't need a life coach. You can go and
Mhm.
talk to your friends, family, whomever. But if there's something that you're not attaining, whatever goal you have, and you're not attaining it, guess what? That's what a life coach is there for. You know, I'm not gonna be there to I'll be there to pat you on your back whenever it's needed, but I'm also gonna be there, be the one who's gonna kick you in the butt and be like, hey, why are you not doing this? You said that you want to do this, let's do it. So it's
Mhm.
just that accountability piece.
Yeah. And I think that's where it differs with counseling and coaching, because coaching, you're kind of there to solve problems, right?
Right.
And I work with symptoms. I diagnose symptoms and work with psychopathology, so it's totally different. You really get to what the problem is, and I'm kind of like what's the root to the problem. So it's kind of where we differ in our approaches, you know.
And the biggest thing, especially with life coaching, especially with me, I don't like to really speak a lot on other life coaches, and the reason being is since life coaching is not a regulated field, every coach can do what they want to do. So, but my life coaching, speak to my heart, is one. I'm I'm passionate. This is my passion. This is what I'm passionate about. So for me to see a person succeed is that's where I get my joy from. And I think
Mhm.
that whenever I see that person, that light bulb go off in people's head, it's just like, wow, they got it. And then it's just like a bird. Whenever the bird learned how to fly, the mama and daddy bird is there helping them. But once they spread their wings and they go and take off, it's like, all right, now you on your own. So, and that's where I try to get people to.
Mhm. Yeah, I love being a part of someone's healing process. You know, I was like, I have a new client this week, and I just wanted to kind of share like one of those moments where it's like kind of groundbreaking for me. Um, Pull it up right now. Um, 1 second. And so I had a new client reach out to me, and I had met with the kiddo for an intake. And so, mom, right after our appointment, called. She reached out and she was saying, like, after your session today is the happiest I've seen her in weeks. I don't know if she talked to you at all, but I just know she needed someone to talk to. And it's been a huge relief. She talked about how nice and pretty you are and how kind you were. So after years of refusing to utter a word and never being willing to go in without a fight, you don't know how huge it is for her to like have a support system. So it was in that moment, like sometimes I question, like, is this for me? Is this what my calling is? And that kind of just solidified for me, when I'm questioning, is this what I'm supposed to be doing?
And most people don't understand the power, one, the power of positivity, and two, the power
Mhm.
of saying thank you, or just being respectful to other people. I was just listening to some the other day, and people was like, I don't know, in the time that we're in right now, a lot of people have forgot how to be respectful of others. And I mean, think
Mhm.
about it. Think about it now. Back in the day, whenever I was growing up, a man was supposed to hold the door open for a woman, and then they usually give a compliment, thank you, or that's very gentlemanlike, or
Mhm.
whatever. But now we don't have that. But at the same time, whenever you have, especially in these professions like this, the case workers that's out there, whenever you don't get that thank you, because some of these people are not getting paid a lot of money to do what they do, but then just to be courteous to them, it's just like it's eye opening, it's refreshing to them. And sometimes I think we kind of forget that. So I will mention that and let people know. Just sometimes go out your way. I know I've been known to be at a
Mhm.
restaurant and I call a manager over there. If I ain't got some great service, I'll call a manager over there and be like, "Hey, the person didn't do nothing wrong, but I just want to let you know that they did a wonderful job." And of course, they'll come over there and be like, "I need to see your manager." And the manager be like, and then the
Mhm.
person like, "Oh man, I'm in trouble again." But then you give
Yeah.
them some positive, and a lot of managers they'll walk and they be like, "You know what? Nobody really does that. So thank you for that." And that's helpful.
Mhm.
Hey, we got
Yeah,
a
it's
couple.
it's got a couple.
Yeah. So Miss Ann, hey, welcome back to the show, Miss Ann. Miss Annette.
Hey, Miss Ann.
So she put on there, you're right, just to what is happening with us physically, mentally, and spiritually, we gloss over so much because we're on the autopilot so often. I think business adds to that. Okay, uh, Miss Annette, you use that B word, and anybody that know me,
Oh, busyness.
yes, I cannot
Busyness.
stand. I cannot stand the busy word. And the reason why I can't stand it is because if you look up the word busy in the dictionary, you see what the definition of it is. To me, being busy is a waste of your time. Uh,
It's
I
not
really,
productive.
yes, it's non-productive. So I always tell everybody, instead of using the word busy, use the word productive. I was very productive today, and that shows it's an action word, meaning that you did something that has helped you throughout that day. And a lot, because whenever we say busy, that means you just blowing time away. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I got another question for you. So what happens when you're rude and everything is going wrong? What are you doing? What are you doing now? How are you going to do better? So what do you do? So what do you do about that? So what happens when you're rude
I'm
and
not
everything is
sure.
going? So if
Can
somebody's
you be
being
a little
rude,
more?
yeah, Deborah, can you be a little bit more specific with that question right there?
I think we both said Pacific.
Hey, we both from the South. I mean, what can we
We
do?
from the South.
All right, Mr. Carlos wanted to know, Stephanie, do you think mental disorders are actually more normal in the world than not?
I'm going to answer this, and this may not be like this might be controversial, but I think mental health disorders is a spiritual warfare. And I think um, it's about the mind and the spirit. It's a inner conflict within ourselves. Um, and yes, it's been normalized. Um, of course, we have all these diagnoses, bipolar, schizophrenia, depression. I think that is all um, spiritual warfare. And that's something that we can tackle with prayer and talking about it, sharing our narrative, sharing our experiences.
All right. And then Miss Annette, she came back and she said that was her point exactly. Busyness is a waste of time. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't we know it's a waste of
Sometimes we
time?
get caught up in being so busy that we miss the whole point.
Yes.
You know? But that's the way of our functioning. We have to continuously distract ourselves. We don't want to address conflict. We don't want to address issues. We tend to like overlook or look over things. Um, but saying, "Oh, we were too busy. Oh, I didn't have time to take care of this," or it's a distraction, a deflection.
It's an excuse.
Oh, there
That
we go.
that's why I always tell people I don't want to hear your excuses. I just want to see results. And
There you,
and that's basically where it comes from. No more excuses. Let me see results. And whenever it's dealing with speak to my heart life coaching, that's exactly what you're gonna get. If you got excuses, then uh, during our 30-minute consultation, and just to throw it out there, so if you're looking for a life coach, you come and sign up with me. So I do a 30-minute consultation that's free, and we just go and we find out. It's an interview process for both of us. It's to find
mm-hmm.
out if I'm compatible with you and you're compatible with me. And it'd be a series of questions I ask, and then you can ask me whatever, and then we go from there. And to me, that's how relationships are built. Communication. We People
Mm-hmm.
always say stuff about communication, but at the same time, it's amazing to me whenever we jump on the word communication. Every time you hear something that happens to people, they be like, "Well, the communication wasn't there," and it was like, "Well, if everybody know about how to communicate, why are we not doing it? What's so hard about this?" So,
Mm-hmm.
so whenever we look at
Yeah,
both of our
I know, like,
professions, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just saying, like, you were talking a little bit about your intake process. Um, I just don't take every client. When clients reach out to me, whether it's through my website or email, it's like, hey, can I get appointment scheduled with you? This is, I'm always asking like, hey, what are your presenting issues? Like, may I offer you a free 15-minute telephone consult? Let me know what your presenting issues are. Let me see it. I want to assess if we're a good therapeutic fit. You know, I may not be, your issue may be out of my scope of practice, so I don't take on every client because, like you said, it's the interview process both ways. So, yeah, I have to feel the vibe of my clients you know, that's all in the rapport building, you know. And
You
even
know,
in this pandemic, you know, I've still like met with my clients face to face. I prefer um, them being, as I say, in person or in seat with me. Are you seeing clients just through like a telehealth or like Zoom online? Are you meeting with someone?
so
Are
most
you meeting clients in person?
majority of them I usually do Zoom calls with, and if they're in the local area in the Memphis area, then yes, I have no problem with meeting them. And usually we probably go on the outside location, and the reason why I do it something like that is because outside secluded location, because I want that person to be feeling as comfortable and not overwhelmed and some off in the office setting. Which I'm not saying all office settings are bad, but depending on some people, depending on what neighborhood you in, they might not feel safe or secure or something like that. So it all depends, but majority of my I do it online.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm mostly in my office, but, you know, if my clients are comfortable, we'll take a walk. Me, if I have my kiddo clients, because I see kids from age, my youngest client is 2.5. And so, yeah. And, or I'll take them outside, you know, the beach is right nearby my office. So we'll go out to the park and play a little bit and talk and, you know, so yeah,
So
thinking
are
outside.
you the one playing, or are they playing?
Oh, I'm playing. I'm
Yeah,
playing around. I can be a big kid.
I'm quite sure you playing more than they are. You be like, oh, I'm finally out of the office, so I'm finna get in and have fun now.
Uh-huh. Puffing and puffing.
Hey, but you know what? That right there goes back to the self care, because now you getting that body in, you getting the soul, the spirit, everything else is
Mhm.
moving. So I mean, that's that
Yeah.
self care for you too. And I
Yeah.
think that's
Breaking the monotony of just sitting here, you know, sitting in my seat, you know, it's like we're getting out. I'm observing behaviors out in the environment outside of this office space, you know. Yeah, and it's this part of rapport building. This is like a trusting relationship. You know, you trust you're safe with me. You know, I'm holding space for you, whether it's and it's just not within these walls of my office space, you know, it's out there. So yeah.
and that's always a common thing right there.
Hmm. Yeah.
So what kind of made you start? What made you want to start the narrative shift?
Mm. You know, I this has always been like, you know, a career path for me, you know, working in mental health. Um, I just knew that I would one day have a private practice. That came earlier for me because I was experiencing burnout and community mental health. So I've been working in the mental health field for about 8 years now, in differing roles. I've done social work. I've worked with child and family advocacy. I've worked as part of a crisis mobile team with crisis prevention and intervention. Um, and I was working long hours. When I say I was putting in like 70 hours a week, um, and you know, devoting a lot of time to work, you know, because those were 70 hours I was there in an office space and working with clients. And then tack on, you know, time to get documentation. I had no time for self-care. And so I was experiencing burnout. I was also experiencing at the time a lot of there was no diversity and inclusion within community mental health. I've since I've been here in Washington, I have in working in mental health. I don't see anyone else that looks like me. No one on my team has been an African American male or female, um, and so I was really feeling isolated in my work, and so I just felt like I couldn't be my authentic self. I couldn't go to work like this. You know, couldn't feel like I could wear my hair curly, short, tattoos and all of that. So I just kind of branched out on my own so that I can be more authentic to myself, show my Afrocentricity, and that be welcome in my own space. And so, and kind of thinking outside of the box because I'm not a textbook therapist. And so having my own practice allows me to kind of think outside the box and to practice some therapeutic modalities that was restricted in community mental health.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you see that comment on that said 2.5 is kind of young?
Who no?
Yeah,
It is kind of young, but the kids at 2.5, this child has experienced trauma early on, separation anxiety, attachment issues. There's a lot of things that you're never too young for therapy. I mean, this child is walking, talking, can articulate. There's certain criteria that makes a client ideal for therapy. And that's just part of the assessment and intake and diagnosis.
And that's why I say those that intake is so important. Those consultations are so important, is to get down to the real issues. Whether it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, however long the consultation is, it's good to just be upfront. And that's one of the things I stress with my clients. So whenever I'm taking them on, and just be like, let's be real at the beginning of the session. Let's be real. And once we do that, everything else is easy. We whenever we start off, we're gonna start off at a certain point, and at the end of it, we'll have a goal. So the question is, for in your counseling role, do you have certain time periods or certain time frames that you hold clients for?
When you say certain time frames, are you saying like what are my practice policies as far as like?
So, do you have like are they on a 3-month or a 5-month, or is it a certain amount of time, or is it just whenever they start feeling better, then they basically graduating off of and leaving you?
I allow my clients to set the pace for their therapy.
Okay, then.
And so, but I'm a big believer too that therapy should not be dragged out. I don't want to be sitting in front of my client for a year or two. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I think clients always say, well, Stephanie, like, this is my first therapy session. I don't know what to expect. And I say, I want you to bring your authentic self. I want you to be honest and transparent. I want you to be upfront about what the issues may be. Because people come into me and they say, this is what the presenting issue is. 2 sessions in, it's something totally different. It's like, okay, so we're working with something different here. Because people aren't aware. They think this may be the issue, but then you have a conversation. There's an aha moment, an awareness. And it's like, oh, that's where that was coming from. But I allow, and I don't like to use the word allow, but the client set the pace for therapy. So for me, like I said, I'm not a textbook therapist. So I don't say, oh, when we're dealing with depression, we're going to meet for 10 to 12 sessions. And then I'm kicking you out of my office. It doesn't look like.
Bye, Felicia.
You ain't got to go. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get out of here. Yeah.
Get them gone. Here, hold on for me. You got a question for you.
Carlos asking all these questions.
Yeah. So
thanks for being present, Carlos.
Grandson has PTSD from trauma. He is 13 now. No counselors have helped him. What type of counseling would you suggest?
It all depends on what that trauma is. A lot of times, when we look at PTSD, post-traumatic stress, trauma, whether we, I guess, assess if it is developmental or if it's situational. There's different treatment modalities, and PTSD, that's just symptoms of trauma. That could be anxiety. That can look like anger, outbursts, things like that. So there's not a counseling modality. It could span across different modality treatments. But what most people in dealing with PTSD, it's narrative therapy, talking about things. We have like EMDR. There's different modality, exposure therapy. It all depends on the client, age of client, and what the actual symptoms are and what the trauma may be.
And I would also probably even go back and say it's also up to the two people getting along as well, because if she's saying her grandson at 13, if he's not trusting that counselor, he's not going to open up to him at all. And so finding that right counselor to actually sit down and understand what's going on might be a big thing.
Yeah, that thank you, Miranda. That is a key point. You have to find a good therapeutic fit. And most people say, well, how long should I try a counselor out? I suggest maybe 3 to 4 sessions. If you're not really connecting, then it's okay to, try out a new therapist. And, don't be mindful of like hurting the therapist's feelings if you say like, yeah, we ain't working out. I quit you. Okay. Hey, let me help you make a referral. And in that therapist can make a referral for you. Get you connected to someone that would be a better fit.
Well, and the other biggest thing about it is, I would not be upset that somebody quit me, especially as a therapist or as a coach or anything like that, because that person is paying you for a service. And if the service is not being provided, then why are you going to keep going along with it? So
Yeah.
Mr. Carlos,
and the feelings could be mutual.
True, very true.
That relationship, yeah, like we ain't working out. I gotta quit you.
But on the ethical side, I guess the ethical side is just like, oh, I'll just let you dictate that right there.
No, the ethical side of me would say, I'm out of my scope of practice, and so,
hey,
and
but
so
it's
I'm
being
going
honest.
to better fit you. It's being honest, yeah.
So, Mr. Carlos, can you identify mental health issues sometimes when meeting random people outside of work?
Oh my goodness. It seems like, I get paid to read people. And I tend to like treat most friendships and relationships like it's a client therapist relationship. I have a lot of friends who say, don't come to me with all that therapy stuff. Just talk to me plain and simple. I'm asking from, as a friend. I know, like, when I'm out in town and things, and I may see a homeless person or someone who's having a mental health episode, and everybody around that person is like freaking out and like, oh my gosh, should we call 911? Like, and I'm like, kind of like, excuse me, like, I'm reaching for I'm getting gas, or I'm, reaching for some chips in the store or something. It's just like, I think I'm so, what do you call, like, so detached from like these what people think are major episodes and crises occurring, that I'm just kind of like, they'll be all right. Like, just let them calm down a little bit, So, yeah. What is your ideal client, Maranthony?
To be real simple with things, somebody who's willing to work and do the work and listen. Yeah, and listen. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, I had a couple people ask me, we always talk about the niche, a niche, or however you want to say it, and they be like, well, what do you focus on? Well, I focus on the whole person. So whether it's relationships, what if you're going through a bad relationship and some people just need that person to talk to, or what if you need, we was talking about business earlier. What if you just having a rough patch in your work? Well, there are certain things I offer to people to help them do that. So, but the biggest thing is, and I tell anybody and I tell everybody, I want to live a long time. So even in coaching, uh, if I'm giving you recommendations, it's a
Hmm.
recommendation. That's all it really is, because this is your goal that you set out for yourself. So at the end of the day, if you take my recommendations or you don't, then it's up to you. But at the same time, in an ethical way, I can still come back and say, well, I don't think that this is working out for the both of us. And I think you might be better off, doing it somewhere else. Or if you want me to provide a reference for you. And that's the other thing. Whenever we talk about counseling versus coaching, whenever if I see something that's more involved or more in depth, that can be like a serious mental issue, that's basically when I'm gonna put my hands up and be like, "Hey, I'm not a licensed counselor to talk on this, so let me go ahead and pass this on." So I make people aware of that at the same time to just be like, I'm not trying to just throw my hands up with you, but I am letting you know that this is outside of my scope and
Hmm.
responsibility. So here you go, and I give it back to whomever that can help that person out.
Let me ask you this personal question. Who's coaching the life coach?
You can look at it in a couple different ways. Me, a lot of people have other life coaches that
Mhm.
that they still go to, and sometimes the life coach could be, a spiritual power. The life coach could be just more knowledge through other media or whatever. But somebody has to talk to, even me, even if I don't have like a direct person I talk to, because I talk to multiple people and say, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it's not that, because even in the counseling and coaching world, you really taking on other people's issues. And the more you don't even think about it. So then whenever we talk about self-care, it's just like, well, what do that person do? What does that counselor do to decompress? And like how you said, you see it and then you become numb to it. You've been desensitized
Sensitized. Mhm.
to a situation so much that it's just like, oh, but then is that really helpful, you know, to somebody else? Because if a client come in there, you don't want to show them sympathy, you want to show them empathy. And if you desensitize too much to a situation, that empathy is gone. It's all lost. So that's why, even with life coaches and counselors, they need to be talking to somebody or have some kind of way to let loose and say, hey, I need to decompress. I need my own self-care. And yeah. So for
Yeah.
me, that's what I do. I use therapy on myself by decompressing. I go read a book, meditate. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and for me, this therapist sees a therapist, and I ain't ashamed to say 2 times a week. I got Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 o'clock. And so, it's like you said, like we're empaths. We absorb all of that energy, you know. And for me, sometimes I have this trauma bonding with my clients, because there are conversations or discussions brought up, and it can be very triggering for me. Things that I've also experienced, things that, um, you know, that I haven't shared. And so it's very, clients kind of transfer that onto me. Um, and so, you know, yeah, me having for another therapist to hold space for me has been very helpful. And I also have a clinical supervisor, who kind of guides me on keeping me on a baseline as far as like business practices and policies, and helping me to kind of gauge that, that when I'm becoming desensitized and numb to things, just kind of, a reality check for me, both emotionally and spiritually and ethically.
So, when as we talk about self-care, what do you think some things people can do as far as self-care go?
Hmm. For me, diet, nutrition,
Mm.
uh, feeding the body,
We know about feeding the body whenever it come to you because all the times I see you eating on here. I just had to throw it in there, y'all. It just had to.
I eat. Everybody that knows me know I love food. I'm the type of person like I can sit there and eat and my little feet be clapping, 'cause I'd be so happy with my food. But yeah,
Wow.
diet, diet,
Wow.
hey, diet, nutrition, exercise, you know, um, I think, there's times where you need to kind of just numb out, whether that is taking a good nap, plenty of rest, watching a movie, you know, watching trash TV, not the news, but, trash TV.
Jerry
Um,
Springer, The Maury Show.
yeah, yeah,
Yes, that's
all
what I'm
that.
talking about. And I didn't even pay you to say that. So if my family is watching, that's the reason why I always watch Jerry Springer and The Maury Show. Now,
Be like, man, and people think like this can't be reality, but both you and I in our field of work, we see that. That's very real scenarios there.
yes.
Um, yeah,
Wow, it seemed like we lost Stephanie there. I guess she'll be joining us again. I guess her connection went down. But I do want to say that uh, here we are in self care, and I think this is a very important topic to hold and to host because one thing that then she came back. Yeah, I really think self care is one of them things that a lot of people kind of bypass and we kind of skim over it. And whenever we do skim over it, we don't do nothing but hurt ourselves. And I mean, if you think about some of the things, we have stress, we have anxiety, we have, she was mentioning uh, feeding the body. So, I mean, some people become anorexic, some people gain more weight. There's a bunch of illnesses that come along with this. So that's where the self care, that's where it comes from. And whenever, a lot of people say they too stressed. Well, and I will be the first to tell you that we all need stress in our lives because that's what perpetuates us. You see a lot of people who procrastinate, and
mhm.
sometimes that procrastination is not a bad thing. It's just that that's the stress they need to put on themselves to get a job completed or accomplished. So we all need that stress in our lives, but whenever it's too much to hold and to bear, that's whenever it's that self care is really needed, and that's where our professions actually merge and come together and say, okay, then you don't have to be out here by yourself. You don't have to be alone. Somebody else has been through the same situation, or we can find a way or an answer to help you out so you're not alone. And I think for whatever reason,
Mhm.
we've got so independent and we don't decide we don't even need help. And I don't know where that come from. I don't know if it's like a generational thing. I don't know if it's just some, I know we did a couple shows back and it's like, well, in my family, we don't talk about anything. And this is what happens. But then you start looking at the dynamic of the family and how you have this part of the family over here and this part over here, and it's just the dynamic of it is just all wrong. And you'd be like, oh, now I see why. So
Yeah, and it's
sometimes,
just not in our family systems. It's can be like in our work environments,
right.
the dog eat dog world, and to ask questions, to ask for assistance, to ask for knowledge, to, that's a sign of like you're incapable, you lack capacity, you lack capability, or the ability, so to reach out and ask for help looks like a weak move, you know um but yeah, like I said earlier, you don't always have to, coming into therapy or requesting some life coaching. It could be just as a maintenance for the mind and the spirit, and emotion. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you are in a crisis situation.
So I know with counseling, I mentioned like for coaching, it's an unregulated field, and I know counseling is a much regulated field. How if somebody wanted to get in contact with you or use you, how would that be possible?
So I have a website, thenarrativeshift.com. You can reach me at Stephanie at the Narrative Shift through email. I am listed on different credentialing podiums. One of them is Psychology Today. You can go on and find a directory for therapists, psychiatrists, anyone practicing in the mental health field. NAMI, which is the National Alliance for Mental Health. You can find resources there. So, yeah.
Now, Stephanie, I am going to say that I hope in your consultation and your intake process that you don't tell them that whenever you eat food, your feet start clapping, because if you do, I don't know, I might be sitting up there searching for somebody else. I'm just putting it out there.
Oh,
So
you know what? Some of my clients have seen it, and this is a thing about me. Like my office is kind of set up to be like a real intimate space, and clients, we sit and eat, we fellowship a lot here in my office. So that is a part of my therapy session. Food is a big part of that.
so do they have to bring their food in, or you preparing food for them as they come in?
Um, I have some items here, but when I see late, clients late, couples, they've been known to bring a meal for me.
Aw, that's
Yeah,
so sweet.
yeah. They know I love food.
Well, maybe I need to come up to Washington, and maybe I need to come visit just so I can just sit down and eat. But I ain't gonna bring no food with me. You gonna have to have the food for me because I had to make. I'm the one who had to travel.
Yeah, but you remember how we used to get down when you were here, so
I know, but
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I make it. When you're holding space, you're catering to that client. Um, And yeah, so like I said, I'm not textbook. And so, you know, I'm very outside the box. And so I make therapy not seem like it's therapy. So,
I mean, but whenever you're looking at for a coach and a counselor, you want that authenticity. You want the trustworthiness, and what you doing something like that, setting your office up like that's a good thing, uh, because they feel that. And I mean, just like the one person put on there, 2.5 years old. If you in a big space and that person's way over here and you way over here, how can you really connect with that person? So that right there shows that you trying to reach out and make sure that you a positive part of that person's life.
yeah, I know, like, when I'm sitting there scheduling, and there's days where I see just mainly my kiddo clients. And so that's the day I'm like, I'm not putting on my heels. I'm not wearing my slacks or skirt. I'm in blue jeans. I'm, in my Black Therapist Matters t-shirt, uh, like I said, we're either out at the park or running around outside, or I'm rolling around on the floor here in the office and not nervous to get paint or slime all over. Yeah. And when clients walk in, clients are in chaos. Sometimes they're experiencing chaos in their life. So why would I not hold a space for them where they can kind of come in and kind of gather their thoughts, relax. I have my natural essential oils and things, and um, the ambiance in the room, plant life, um, different artwork, things to kind of stimulate and to get the brain functioning and things. So, it's holding a space for them to relax to connect the dots while they're here. So.
Look at you, always thinking about somebody else. I guess you was meant to be a counselor then.
Maybe. Is it too much to title us as healers? I wish we could just, term it as healers. That sounds more fancy and
It, it does, but I think I would just wait until that person say you a healer more than I would just title myself as one.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I'm trying to manifest that, I guess, by that positive self-talk. Like,
well, maybe some of your clients are looking at this, and then at the end of their sessions, they'd be like, you know what, you are a healer because you've healed me. You done made me whole. Maybe if you started jump up dancing or something, maybe that might help.
You know what
out
I'm
with that
thinking?
too.
We might have a tambourine session. A good one. I'm gonna get me a tambourine and.
Oh, you gonna do it? Okay then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm from the South, and that tambourine thing. I'll leave it at that.
Mm-hmm. On beat.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
People from Texas know how to stay on beat.
Yeah, we do. They do.
Okay, then they do. Okay, then. I was gonna say I done seen you dance
You've
before, so
seen my dance moves, so
that's why I wanted to put it out there.
hey, I can do this. That's about it. And I ain't even doing that on beat. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, so I guess we're gonna go on and wrap it up. I think we almost at our time right here.
Has it
So
been an hour already?
yeah,
Wow.
close to it. Yep, close to it.
Okay.
But I think we've done a great job looking at what self-care is and how our professions can help shift their narratives by taking control of their lives and their situations and environments, so they can be and do a little bit better for themselves. And so, first, I'd like to say I'd like to thank everyone that were here to help. And I want to thank everybody and say thank y'all for tuning in, watching us. Hopefully, you picked up something, learned something. And the thing is, don't be shy. Ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
We're here for a reason. And a lot of people be like, "Oh, you here to collect money or whatever." I'm quite sure Stephanie's probably just like I am. Yeah, the money is needed because we got to feed our family, but at the same time, our burning desire is to make sure the person that we are looking at or helping, is being helped. And that's what we like to see, that aha moment, whenever it just goes off and be like, "Oh." And then we can push you back out into the world and be like, all right, we know we have a functioning person that's out there in society right now. I mean, because I'm here in Memphis, and yeah, and I'm quite sure it's all over the world right now, but we see the issues that's going on. And sometimes, I wish I can go into these little places and be like, hey, there's assistance, there is help out here. You just need to ask for it. The resources are there. So why don't you come into the resources? But I think that's one of the things that we need to do as coaches and counselors and whomever, to get out there into the streets and make it known that we are here. That's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people just don't know the resources are there, and they go up on and take things upon themselves. So with this platform, I'm hoping that this is what it's doing. So the people that's watching, please go out and share this information to say, hey, these people are out there. And like I said, even if it's not us, me and Stephanie, that if we're not the right people, just get a hold of us, and maybe we can get you to the people that can actually help you out with some of the issues that you might have, or your other family members might have.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to let everyone know that we are here and we are available to you. If there is any finances, relationships, accountability, or maybe just a more positive outcome that you may be seeking, we here. And if you desire Stephanie, you can reach her at, what's your website?
TheNarrativeShift.com.
Or you can contact me for life coaching, and then you can reach me at www.speaktomyheartlifecoach.com. and we would look. And like I said, this month right here, we dedicating this to self care. So the rest of this month, we're gonna have. I'll have different. There'll be different speakers that'll be on the show talking about self care and what you can expect and what self care actually looks like. Uh, so, Stephanie, with that being said, you got anything, any parting words?
You know, you can choose courage or you can choose comfort, but you cannot have both. I'm a big Brene Brown fan. And so, you know, step out of your comfort zone. If you are looking to, if you're needing assistance, you know, help, thinking that maybe, you know, you may be having a mental health crisis or you're just needing to some life coaching, you know, reach out. Don't be afraid to do that. Step out of that comfort zone, take courage.
All right. And instead of leaving y'all with a quote on this week right here, why are you laughing? I
No,
just
no scripture, no, I was waiting on you
well,
to
you know what though? What I am gonna do, I'm gonna give you 8 powerful sayings that people should repeat in their mind throughout the day. 1, believe in yourself. 2, stay strong. 3, never give up. 4, be grateful. 5, work hard. 6, stay humble. 7, be kind. And number 8, just keep smiling. Bam. Easy enough. I know it's a lot. It's 8 of them, but just take one of them. If you take one of them, I guarantee your day will be a whole lot better than it started. And
yeah.
so with
Positive
that,
self-talk, manifest good things
manifested.
to happen.
That's
Mhm.
exactly what it is. So, with that being said, this has been another edition of the Door to Expansion webcast. And guess what, y'all? We out of here. Show enough.
All right.